Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over all of the books I read in December. So December was a very busy month for me. I was trying to get my house cleaned up and packed and trying to find renters all while the holidays and my birthday. So it was just a crazy busy month for me. So I was only able to read 8 books. Of those 8 books, that's a total of 3,013 pages. However, I did read 172 pages of a book before I DNF'd it. Including those pages is a total of 3,185 pages. I had 1 5-star read, 1 4.5-star read, 5 4-star reads, and 1 3-star read. So even though I didn't read very many books, I would say I had a great reading month with the amount of 4 stars and 4.5s and 5 stars that I had. So the first book I read in December was Our Violent Ends. This is the second book and final book in the Our Violent Delights duology, and if you watched my November wrap-up, I'll link it up above. I mentioned that Our Violent Delights was not really my cup of tea genre-wise, and I wanted to step out of my comfort zone and try something new. And although it wasn't my cup of tea genre-wise, I really enjoyed Chloe's writing, and I thought the way that she described things was phenomenal. So because of that, I wanted to read the second book, just see how it ends. And because it wasn't my cup of tea genre-wise, I didn't use that in my rating because that's not the author's fault. So I gave this book 4 stars. The next book I read is Finlay Donovan is Killing It. This book was very good. It was very suspenseful and I really enjoyed it. I am excited for the second book. The second book comes out, I believe, February 1st of this year, so I'm really excited for that. This book follows Finlay, who is a freshly divorced woman, and she's struggling with making payments on any sort of bill that she has because she is a writer, but her books aren't doing very well. One morning she meets with her agent at a local Panera Bread, and they're talking about her novels, which are crime, thriller, suspense type novels, and someone that is sitting nearby mistakes her for being a hit woman, and it's just a really good book. And I'm really excited for the second one. I gave this book 4 stars. Next, I read Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey Mcquiston. I wanted to see what all the fuss was about with this book because it's really hyped up and has really good ratings on Goodreads. And it was my first male romance, so I was excited for that. However, it was very political, which I guess I should have expected with the storyline, but I just didn't care for that. I thought it was way more political than it was romancy, and because of that, I just didn't care for the book and I gave it 3 stars. Next, I read my one and only Christmas book this year, and that was Christina Lauren's In a Holidays. This book was super cute, super easy read. It was like a little over 300 pages. Reminded me of a Hallmark movie, and even though most Hallmark Christmas movies have the exact same plot, I will watch every single Christmas Hallmark movie, and because of that, I really enjoyed this book. I gave this book 4 stars as well. I was worried it was going to be a little repetitive with the Groundhog Day, with it being repetitive, but it actually wasn't, and I really enjoyed this book, and the romance in it was super cute. So if you haven't read this, I definitely recommend putting this on your TBR for next Christmas season because it was super cute. Next, I read It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This book, I started it in the morning and I finished it that night, and it's 385 pages. So needless to say, I could not put this book down. It was so spicy, so smutty. I really enjoyed this book. If you need like a super hot and steamy book to get you out of a reading rut, pick this up. It was so good. This book follows Piper, and she's one of those girls who's super spoiled because daddy has a lot of money, and she gets into some trouble and her dad has had enough. So he sends her to a little town in Washington. She's in LA, by the way. He sends her to a little town in Washington where she is to like redo a bar or fix up a bar and sell it or take over. I can't remember exactly. It was a little bit ago that I read this book. But she meets a man named Brendan, and they butt heads at the beginning because he thinks she's super stuck up and he's not about that. And they end up falling in love, obviously. So I guess you could describe it as a hate to love, even though they didn't know each other before, but they didn't like each other at the beginning. So I guess it's a hate to love kind of. Super cute. I gave this book 4.5 3.5 stars. It would have been 5 stars for me, but the constant use of the pet name baby made me cringe. So because of that, I knocked off half of a point. Next, I read A Flicker in the Dark by Stacy Wellingham. I was really excited for this book. It was on my 22 anticipated releases in 2022 up until I saw that it was on Book of the Month. So then I took it off because I wasn't reading it in 2022. I was reading it in 2021. Anywhoosies, I was severely disappointed with this book, I'm not gonna lie. I just felt like it was like every other thriller I've read, and I read a lot of thrillers, and it didn't do anything for me. Like I didn't really want to pick it up, or if I did pick it up, I read like 3 chapters and was done. I did finish it, it did take me a while, but I was gonna give it 3.5 stars until I got to the ending, because I didn't suspect what was going to happen, and because of that not being predictable, I decided to bump it up to a 4 star. Next, I read Not a Happy Family by Lapina. This book was super good. This was also my first Lapina book, and I'm just gonna say right now that I want to read all of the books she's ever written because I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was such a good book. It would have been 5 stars for me, except when I got to the ending and we found out who done it. All I could think was, that's who did it. That's it. I wanted something like way more extravagant and kind of far-fetched, but still realistic. And because it was not, I just thought it was so-so. So because of that, I only gave it 4 stars, but that's still a good rating. Next, I'm going to talk about the book I DNF'd because it is the book that I picked up after Not a Happy Family, and that is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I was really excited for this book. It has phenomenal reviews on Goodreads, and I don't know, the writing was just super juvenile and kind of gross in my opinion, and I just wasn't about it. I just wasn't in the mood for it, and because of that, I DNF'd it at 172 pages. But I'm going to try again in a couple of weeks or a month or so and see if I can get into it then. Otherwise, I'm only going to give it 2 chances. I can't try a 3rd time. So if I can't get through it the 2nd time, then unfortunately this will be a permanent DNF for me. And the last book I read was Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. I haven't read a lot of Colleen Hoover yet. I've read like her most popular ones so far, and this one I hadn't heard much about. So I decided to pick it up, and honestly I think this is my favorite Colleen Hoover book thus far. This was such a good book. The mother-daughter relationship in this book was so realistic, at least for how I was as a teenager. I wasn't as rebellious and uncaring or not caring or nonchalant as Clara, but I will say that the stress that she gave her mom and her mom thinking that she was a terrible mom, I relate to, because the things I did at 16, man, I feel so bad for my mom. So this book just really opened my eyes as to what my mom was feeling when I was 16. So because of that, I really enjoyed this book. This book follows Morgan and Clara. Morgan is the mom, Clara is the daughter. And it starts out with Morgan being 17, where she finds out she is pregnant with her daughter, Clara. And Chris is Clara's father and Morgan's boyfriend. And then Chris's best friend, Jonah, is dating Morgan's sister, Jenny. So they're like, or they have a thing or whatever. They always double date. Anyways, then it fast forwards to Clara at 16, and from there it goes back and forth between perspectives. And I really liked this book because when it leaves off with an event on Morgan's chapter, it picks right up on that same event in Clara's chapter. So I like that we're not having to reread anything to get to the point in a different perspective. So I really enjoyed that about this book, and I gave this book 5 stars. I did film my top reads in 2021 video already, but let's just pretend that this book was in there. I made a comment on the video and pinned it and said that this book is also included in there, and then I also added it to my favorite reads in 2021 shelf on Goodreads as well, and I'll be making another favorite reads in 2022 shelf on Goodreads for all the books I read in 2022 that I really enjoy. But this book was super good, and anytime my mom tells me that she has some free time and she wants to pick up a book, I'm gonna tell her this one because this book was absolutely amazing. So underrated. More people need to be talking about this book. So those are all the books I read in December. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you read in December and what your favorite reads were. And please subscribe and turn on post notifications to be notified every time I upload a video. And please give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!